All right, so we learned about monoclonal antibodies and how they are used to, well, not only program, because viruses do program people to some level, and these monoclonal antibodies are being used as a way to target specific tissues. And then this is why you see um, well, yeah, it's trying to upgrade, and also if a person doesn't have what it takes, then those antibodies do destroy. So any of these antibodies, and then now I'm looking at this uh, genomic, which I actually saved on my toolbar, and it's called Gene Age Human, what is it called? Human genes, Gen Age human genes, the Gen Age human gene list of entries. And this is basically like Build-A-Bear. So the monoclonal antibodies are one aspect where antibodies are destroying your body at the micro level. And then you have these proteins that have specific programming in it. And this one specific one that I'm like, holy crap, it's called the AR gene, and it's the androgen receptor, okay? And it is about transcription regulation, cellular proliferation, differentiation, okay? And disruption of AR in mice result in insulin and leptin resistance, which suggests that AR may contribute to certain age-related diseases such as type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And then the protein information, now get this, this is where we are now figuring out that humans, every single diversity in our society is based upon how your genes have been manipulated. So gene ontology process protein information. Remember protein docking? I talked about that at UCSF when I dated that postdoc who does the computer models for protein docking. Kuntz, Ira Kuntz, Kuntz, is the lead professor who now does consulting at UCSF, molecular biology. G0, okay, in utero embryonic development. So these are how the AR receptor, the androgen receptor, is impacting, okay? Regulation of systemic arterial blood pressure, epithelial cell morphogenesis, transcription DNA templated, transcription initiation from RNA polymerase to promoter, transport, signal transduction, cell signaling, spermatogenesis, single fertilization, sex differentiation. And then cellular components, nuclear chromatin, nucleus, nucleoplasm. I mean, you guys, you don't realize you're being actually created and destroyed at the cellular level, okay? Nucleus, nucleoplasm, cytoplasm, cytosol. So these are all cellular components. Plasma, membrane, protein complex. And then the function is RNA polymerase 2 core promote proximal region sequence specific DNA binding. Binding. You know that when you bind antibodies together from these different viruses, such as the SARS-CoV-2, which is SARS and COVID-19, and then I heard about H1N1. Okay, there's some binding going on with an RNA polymerase 2 core promote proximal region sequence specific DNA binding. Transcriptional activator activity, RNA polymerase 2 core promoter proximal region sequence respecific binding yet again. And then RNA polymerase 2 transcription factor binding, DNA binding. These are the functions, chromatin binding, transcription factor activity sequence specific DNA binding, RNA polymerase 2 transcriptor factor activity ligand activated sequence specific DNA binding, androgenin receptor activity receptor binding, steroid binding, androgen binding. Oh my God. And you can figure out from there how a human is created and what they identify with and what their proclivities are. And then you can kind of get now where I'm going here. But I was like, holy crap, because I was looking this up back when I was first kicking off my first book that right now I re-released from 2018. And I knew that the Human Genome Project existed for a reason, because at first I was thinking, yeah, they're weaponizing. And then I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, they are weaponizing. Holy crap. And they are actually building a human and then also destroying a human. Okay, so that's the AR gene, the androgynous gene. Then you have the FAS gene and it's putative. So what is this? The common FAS cell surface death receptor. So these are the backdoor triggers when all the conditions are right, and then these proteins are now in the forefront. The antibodies are probably being induced, and this is called the FAS encode multiple transcripts involved in apoptosis, which is basically the programmed death of a cell. Okay, and so FAS encodes multiple transcripts involved in apoptosis and development. It also relates to cancer progression. The expression level of FAS changed during aging, and there are some results correlation to FAS with age-related changes. Nonetheless, polymorphism in human FAS has not been associated with human longevity. Well, obviously, it basically shortens your life. Cytogenic information, it's a plus strand. And the protein information, gene ontology, that's what GO is. Process is immunoglobulin production. That's the antibodies, immunoglobulin, IgA, immunoglobulin antibodies. This is where the death, the backdoor triggers for how they're going to trigger the death process in humans who have been exposed to this specific gene, genetically modified genes. Okay, renal system process, protein complex assembly, apoptotic process. Apoptosis is when it's the breaking down of a cell, a very systematic breaking down of a cell, and it can be triggered and programmed. Okay, activation of cysteine type endopeptidase activity involved in apoptotic activation induced cell death of T cells. Okay, inflammatory cell apoptotic process, inflammatory response, because yes, when you have these antibodies, your body's gonna try to live, and then they have these prostaglandins, and then that they do is try to suppress the prostaglandins. Immune response, signal transduction, brain development, and then cellular component, nucleus, cytoplasm, cytosol, plasma membrane. So this is how the cells are the components of this protein affecting the cell and what it's affecting. Okay, so the nucleus, the cytoplasm, the cytosol, the plasma membrane, integral component of plasma membrane, external side of plasma membrane, cell surface, death-inducing signaling complex. You get the picture here? CD95 death-inducing signaling complex, neuron projection, membrane raft. And then the function is signal transducer activity, receptor activity, tumor necrosis factor activated receptor activity, protein binding, kinase binding, identical protein binding. Okay, so they can use this for evolution, which is when you have tumors because your body is trying to evolve. And so these tumors is the evolution of your body as all these different antibodies are attacking other evolution, but one specific tumor, which is the body trying to evolve, is then growing, and then that's what then these tumors are being targeted. Okay, and yes, I mean, if you don't have what it takes, then yes, cancer will kill you because you don't have enough of the constituents to release the excess programming and rebuild your body at the micro level. Okay, so that's the FAS gene and its putative whatever. Then you have the BCL2 gene and its putative whatever, which is the lymphoma. And BCL2 is an important suppressor of apoptosis and oncogene. Apart from cancer, it may be involved in neurodegenerative disorders and dendritic cell longevity in vivo, and has been reported to be controlled by BCL2. And then BCL2 null mice die by 6 weeks of age with occurrence of gray hair through otherwise if they do not appear to suffer from accelerated aging. So here's the thing, you guys, we are being built up by different genetics that have been manufactured and bound together and created. And you wonder, like, you think you are just organic. No, every single human has been created on some level, has been then destroyed too. So you've been created and then also genetically modified. and then also been destroyed. Okay, and then what's this other? And that's the thing with this whole transhumanism, is when they change the environment, and they change the environment on the outside, and they change your internal environment, and now you have to upgrade. Now it's not like you don't have to die from all these changes, but if you don't have what it takes, yes, death is actually um, an option there. Okay, so this other genetics gene name is CREB binding protein, and oh wow, a transcriptional regulatory protein. CREBBP acetylates histones and mediates CAMP gene regulation by binding to phosphorylate. CREBBP null mice die during embryogenesis, but heterozygous animals exhibit lipodystrophy, have increased insulin and leptin sensitivity, and appear to be protected from weight gain induced by a high-fat diet. So you wonder why some of your friends can eat whatever the hell they want and they never gain weight. Well, here you go. It's a specific protein that blocks the body's ability to gain weight regardless of diet. Okay, this is some crazy freaking shit here. Holy crap. So there's that. And then the AIFM1 minus strand. And what is this? Oh, tumorigenesis. AIFM1 is an important player in apoptosis and has been related to tumorigenesis. It also appears to regulate dependent apoptosis. So this is about where they have a programmed cell death. I mean, this is pretty, wow. Biotechnology runs the world. And so there's that. Then the BCL2 gene. So you guys get an idea. Oh, okay. We already got that. Okay. All right. So that's, all right. So I already went over that. So anyways, so that's why I posted that androgen, because if you actually go into, I mean, let me go into more of the gene age human sense. What's going on right now is what Bill Gates is doing, is he's actually using biotech to go and take all these different genes. It's like you probably can order these specific genes, these proteins, from different labs, and that's what this is. This basically is a list of all the human genes, and I'm sure there's probably companies that are related to all of these specific, yeah, they have genomics and drugs, and then animal longevity, aging changes, aging information. So this is a database of probably all of their products and what they do, and then you find a drug that is going to have some kind of relationship with some kind of combination of any of these things, okay? But then also too, you look at what is in the vaccines, and not only do they have monoclonal antibodies, yes, but there's also other backdoor triggers, such as some of these that will cause then differentiation within your reproductive system, causing then changes in your biochemistry to where you feel kind of like confused in so many different ways. I won't go into the details of the confusion, but yes, why people are at war with themselves, why they're thinking one thing and their body is telling them another thing. That's what's really crazy, and why we have so much misery in this world, because people are not whole. They are not feeling like they are completely aligned in body, mind, and spirit. And so this human gene list of entries is basically like a buffet of how you would create a human and destroy a human relative to your intention. Already they're doing protein binding, triggering programmed cell deaths based upon its targets. You know that monoclonal antibodies, DNA monoclonal antibodies are DMAbs, and then just MAbs is monoclonal antibodies, and those antibodies destroy people. But then also some of these proteins that are related to these genes then also program a person to maybe not gain weight, or to gain more weight, or to trigger cancer at some point. I mean, this is so flippin', or determine sexual orientation. Okay, I mean, right here, this is the database. It's telling you right here, androgen receptors. and they differentiate your sexual hormones. It's right here. This is substantiated right here. I'm not making this shit up. I'm not trying to create theories. No, it's right here. Breast cancer, the BRCA gene 2, let me see, what else? All these genes can be injected in you and have these triggers. Now they're trying to say, oh, well, we use these to try to destroy, breast cancer, but you also can induce breast cancer. If you can create um, antibodies to destroy breast cancer, you can create antibodies or create genes to then induce breast cancer. I mean, remember, as above, so below. Nothing is just one-sided. You can use good for evil and evil for good. It just depends on how you use it and how you create a perception around it. I mean, this is, wow. What else? What else that's pretty obvious here that's said in the wording without me going into and actually looking at the details? Cannabinoid receptor type of stuff. Connective tissue growth factor. Okay, these are genes that determine that. Genes determine DNA damage inducible transcript 3. What else? Epidermal growth factor genes, epidermal growth factor receptor genes, early growth response genes, elastin genes. Sometimes you have to really read and figure out, read between the lines, what the actual intention is. But when you go into all these, you're like FAS, cell surface death receptors, estrogen receptors, fibroblast growth factors, flap structure specific endonuclease. I mean, read what they do. And you can see when they say B cell, like when they say B cell type of stuff, that's where they actually program your innate immune system to then trigger specific targets that will then induce antibodies to destroy, or they promote growth. Okay, and then you wonder where some of these diversity, these diseases that we have that we're like, oh God, it's the parents' fault. No, it's all of these freaking genes put together causing extra chromosomes to be grown, or taking away chromosomes. I mean, this is some pretty freaking, this is some mad scientist, island of the Dr. Moreau type of shit here. Growth hormone releasing hormone, glutathione peroxidase, growth factor receptors, glycogen synthase kinase, histone deacetylase, homebox B7, Harvey-Rack sarcoma viral oncogene homolog, heat shock transcription, heat shock protein, what the hell? Insulin-like growth factor, inhibitor of kappa-lite polypeptide gene enhanced in B cells. B cells are the antigen, the cell memory that has a memory where if it spies something that's programmed to go and attack, it creates then the T cells to go after and do a search and destroy, spy bot search and destroy. That's why Bill Gates is so good at programming programs, like programming computers, programming specific things, computer programming, because he can program a human to do the same thing. Okay, looking for viruses, looking for specific anomalies and glitches in the system, and doing band-aids and patches. And that's why you get all these antivirals like Norton and McAfee and all that. I mean, this is wow. Interleukin 2 receptor gamma. I mean, when you get the picture, insulin receptor, these are all different genes, insulin receptor substrate 1, and they all have meanings. If you actually go and look up every single one of these words and then look at the intention, like what is insulin receptor 42? How is it different than insulin receptor substrate 1, right? And it says, what is this? NINSR binds insulin, regulates energy metabolism. Evidence from model organisms, including results from fruit flies and roundworms, relates INSR homologs to aging, most likely as part of the GH1 1GF axis. In mice, disruption of INSR in adipose tissue extends longevity, but does not appear to delay aging. So it extends longevity, so you can live a little bit longer, but it doesn't stop the aging process. See, that's the kind of the fuck shit that we're dealing with here. In flies, the two most common alleles, in are long and in are short, are associated with predictable differences in levels of insulin. signaling, fecundity, development time, body size, and stress tolerance, temperature and starvation. Flies carrying the in-long alleles generally showed little difference in rate of aging. I mean, this is, and then what is it? In our short males displaying a reduced mortality late in life. Heterozygotes in both sex lives significantly longer than homozygote genotypes. Mutations in the human INSR gene have been associated with insulin resistance. INSR could play a role in some human age-related pathologies, but it's not known it's a major player in human aging. Well, obviously it's not a major player, but it's a contributor factor. So, I mean, this is the database. And so, yes, you can build a human, destroy a human, build a bear, destroy a bear. This is the world that we live in. Nothing is organic. I'll just tell you that, but nothing is organic. Everything is, like we're living in the matrix where everything is basically built for you. Humans are built, your society is built, your infrastructure is built, even your arguments are built. Everything is built. And so now it's just a matter, can you adapt to the new environment inside and outside? And that's why salt is so important. So you're able to adapt to the new conditions. Remember, all your junk DNA in your body gives you the tools to be able to adapt to a new environment. So as long as the environment or the elements are not extreme. Okay, obviously if it's like -50 below all year round, you're going to have some kind of climate control to handle it, right? But if it's like temperate temperatures like we have right now in the US and all points in between, aside from the Antarctica and, really the poles, the North Pole and the South Pole, we can adapt. And then we can have our environment help us adapt. But that's the thing. So, Bill Gates doesn't have to kill you. You just have to understand what you're dealing with and understand to release the excess antibodies and any excess proteins that are programming your specific systems, to release those so that way it doesn't overprogram your body and cause glitches and confusion. Okay? And so, everyone's saying, oh, Jillian, you're like saying you can try to reverse this and reverse that. Well, I just showed you the human genome database. Right there should tell you exactly what biotech is doing. I mean, right there, the word biotechnology. Biology, technology, building a human, destroying a human, backdoor triggers. Look at the Olympians. I mean, look at what's his name, the one that has a really long wingspan, the swimmers. You can create really great Olympians. You can create somewhat superhuman people, superheroes, the Avengers, all these different superpower type stuff. This is pretty intense. But right there, I've just proven that you can build a human relative to the intention. And then you can also destroy a human relative to the intention. But a human can adapt to its surroundings if it's giving the body what it needs. And that is the Jilly Juice. Because I've been programmed ever since I was a kid. And the Jilly Juice started peeling back all the programming in body, mind, and spirit. Physically, mentally, spiritually, okay? So you can adapt to the new environment, regardless of what Bill Gates does and all of his cohorts. It's like I don't even watch the stupid, debates anymore, or in the RNC or all those, because it's all theatrics. What you're watching now is basically a sitcom that you're taking part in because you're in it, but you don't have to actually take part in it. That's what's so crazy. So nothing is organic when you think about it, but nothing is synthetic, but it's all programmed. Your body, mind, and spirit are programmed. Now you can still take part in the matrix without being programmed to the matrix. You know that you have to take part in the laws and abide by the laws. But as long as you know the laws of life and death, regardless of what Bill Gates does, regardless of what Ray Kurzweil and all those transhumanists do, you can still adapt. Because remember, you have the junk DNA as long as you build your body correctly with the right constituents to be able to handle the new environment. So no matter how much geoengineering, how much 5G, 6G, 10G, no matter how many vaccinations a person gets or is exposed to. And they're saying that, yeah, every year they're going to have a new vaccination for this COVID. You'll be having to upgrade every year until whatever their goal is met, whatever objective those have that are doing all this, whatever objective is met is when it will stop. So who knows when? I guess the Georgia Guidestones is any indicator from 7 billion to 500 million. Guiding reproduction carefully, you're going to have Orwellian society, CPS, in your kids' business, in your business 24/7. So just understand that yes, you can adapt. And vaccines are not a death sentence. Cancer doesn't have to be a death sentence. None of these crazy things out there are a death sentence if you understand what causes life and what promotes life and what causes death. And then you can still adapt to Bill Gates' vaccines as well as the environment. And that's all there is to it. But there you go. I have the link in the post. Go look at all the different genes that basically created you and your whole family. It's pretty intense. Remember, anything that's B cell is the innate immune system being programmed to go after specific things. Okay, program antigen to go after specific things, inducing antibodies, T cells. So B cells induce T cells. Okay, so any kind of B cell type of reference is your innate immune system being programmed by a gene. Anything that says apoptosis is then cell death, a programmed cell death. Anything that says binding, protein binding, is when you have genes bound to each other to create a specific manifestation. Okay, understand these biotechnological terms so you understand what they're doing and then what's in the vaccines. And even though, yes, you may have binding antibodies as well as other genes to your body, you'll still upgrade and you'll be fine because you will release the excess and your body will utilize those specific genes to your benefit. Okay? All right. Good luck. Bye.